Before we jump into this episode, I want to take a moment to tell you about the upcoming Texas Woodworking Festival, a 2-day celebration where makers and enthusiasts come together to share their passion for the craft. Join us for a weekend filled with creativity, community, and inspiration. You'll meet tool manufacturers, furniture makers, woodworking clubs, content creators, and more, all in one place with great food and drinks, and of course, all things woodworking. It all takes place in Austin, Texas on September 13th and 14th. The festival features an educational track on Saturday and Sunday, plus a special pre-conference content creator track on Friday, September 12th. There you'll have a chance to learn from masters of the craft like Gary Rogowski, Matt Kinney, Andy Rawls, and Kate Casey, just to name a few. Head to the TexasWoodworkingFestival.com for more details and to grab your tickets. Use the code MWA25 to get 10% off your tickets. I'll drop a link in the show notes. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, there's something for everyone at the Texas Woodworking Festival. Don't miss it. Welcome to the MWA podcast. I'm Kyle and I'm joined by my co-host Brian. Today we're excited to welcome Jonathan Hammack as our guest. John is an outstanding furniture maker specializing in vernacular furniture and chairs. His studio is located just up the road from me in Edmond, Oklahoma. So welcome to the show, John.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me.
Welcome. Fantastic. Well, before we get started, just want to I think everyone knows the MWA podcast is proudly sponsored by Sutherland Wells. Sutherland Wells knows that exceptional craftsmanship deserves an exceptional finish. That's why they handcraft their full line of low and VOC exempt finishes and stains using the highest quality cold press, sustainably grown tung oil. Their unique polymerization process delivers the deep penetrating, grain-enhancing, non-yellowing protection of raw tung oil, while reducing drying time and allowing the finish to build a beautiful, durable film. Sutherland & Wells, the timeless look of traditional oil made for the modern woodworker. Use code MWA25 for 10% off your first order. That's MWA25. And we want to thank Sutherland & Wells for their sponsorship.
Nicest people on the planet, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Super knowledgeable.
All right, well, let's move on to our patron shout out. So who do we have to thank this week?
Big thanks, as always, to our Patreon supporters. This time around, we're giving a big shout out to our newest patron, Matt S., kind of incognito. If you would like to help support the MWA podcast, please go to www.patreon.com/MWA podcast. And from there, you can select your level of support. Every little bit helps offset the cost of the show. We appreciate it.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Matt. And let's move on to what's in the shop. So, Brian, what are you working on? How's that office coming?
It's getting there. I've been traveling quite a bit. I've been in Virginia, Massachusetts, Rhode Island for sports stuff. Still consumed by a new job. I had to miss the last recording because I had to take this big exam, which thankfully I passed. But all the lights are in the.
I wasn't going to ask if you passed.
Yeah. I got a 91%, Kyle. I just want to tell you that.
Hey, there you go. Gold star and everything.
That's right. Yeah. So all the lights that we bought are now installed in the office. I kind of didn't do myself any favors because my wife wanted Philips U bulbs, and I put the fancy looking lights on the same circuit as the lights that are behind the arch.
Mm-hmm.
So they're and Philips Hue don't like to be dimmed by a switch dimmer. So you can dim them natively in the app, but so I have to have the arch lights at full volume in order to play with the Philips Hue bulbs. I didn't quite think that out ahead of time, but everything turned on. Looks good. The heights are all correct. So I'm pretty happy with that. All the outlets are in, covers are on, paint is done. It's interesting in my area. I live in Southeast Pennsylvania. I went to buy some poplar to start making trim. And I don't know what happened, but the cost of poplar just went through the roof in my general area. Pine usually they're kind of close, but pine was much, much cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided I have to make this L-shaped shelf that's kind of going to be above the two inset bookcases. And all you're going to see it is on the edge. So I'm like, I don't need to make that out of poplar because you're not going to see any kind of knots, right? So the cheapest way to do that was actually buy those pre-glued up panels of pine.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And normally I'd shy away from that but I'm doing the math in my head. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense for me to do this. Like, pull them down, look them down the grain. They were essentially dead straight. I'm like, okay. So I brought those home. Those will become the shelves on the top. And then my wife has agreed to help make the inset bookcases. She likes using the domino. So we're just going to make some pretty simple bookcases with a fixed middle shelf for rigidity. And I think I calculated like 700 holes, something like that. So I have one of these Veritas drilling jigs. That thing's worth its weight in gold because it's got a nice bushing on it. It's, you can set the depth. They're indexed from each other as long as you start from the same end of the boards, like so from the bottom up. So that's going to get a workout. And she goes, I can drill holes. I'm like, go for it. So I got bags and bags of pin sleeves and pins all ready to go. We started talking about flooring, and it should be pretty quick. I don't think the floor is going to be done by the time she starts work, which is like about a month from now. But everything else should be, or at least close to it.
So were you thinking about flooring?
We have in the floor below in our main floor of the house, it's like this 7 or 8 inch wide. They're pine. I think they're fairly soft. So I think they're southern yellow pine.
Right.
So, and it's beautiful character and everything. So I'm thinking I might want to match that. There is Fleetwood Lumber, which is close to me, does flooring, and he can, tongue and groove it for you. So you can just kind of pop it in and nail it. And then I'm actually going to use Sutherland Wells finish on it.
As long as she's not wearing high heels in there, you should be fine.
No, she'd be lucky if she's got pajama pants on and slippers. It's the joy of working from home.
Okay, just making sure, because in our courthouse, they built a brand new courthouse in Galveston, Texas, about 15 years ago, and they installed southern yellow pine flooring in there. And by about 3 years, they ripped all that up and put tile in because it was just dented, just had little dents from, lawyers and whatnot wearing their high-heeled shoes, just walking up and down that stuff.
Yeah, high traffic's going to be rough on that because it just doesn't give enough time for the resin to really
as soon
set
as
up in it.
When I got called to jury duty that time, I walked in there and went, that's a bold move, Cotton, kind of thing.
See how it pays off for him.
And then my wife is taking my desk that I built, the sit to stand desk. So I got to build another one. She doesn't want to wait. And she wants the ability to both sit and stand just for, sitting a long time is not good for you in any stretch of the imagination. So I already have the new mechanism here, debating what I want to do. I'd like to find some really like 8-quarter air dried walnut. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to find it that thick, but we'll see. I'm looking for something nice because it's, I only plan on building one of those once for me. So a lot of exciting stuff going on.
Cool.
Kyle, how about you?
I just got back from vacation on Monday, I guess. So I was away for about a week. Met up with, some college and fraternity friends for about 6 days of drunken debauchery, and it was fun. It was fun. We had a great time. I'm detoxing now. Well, not tonight because I am. Besides that,
these were the guys you made you were turning things for, right?
Yeah. I turned some bottle openers, and they all really enjoyed them. So that was good. We played poker, and the winner could, highest pot to lowest pot could
you
select.
could draft bottle openers.
Because I made there wasn't one identical. They were all different. So and different sizes and stuff. And so that was pretty cool. And I need to post a picture of the bottle openers because I didn't post any because some of these guys follow me on Instagram because I have an Instagram account. So I need to post that hopefully sometime soon. And so that was fantastic. I was actually up in John's way, but it was a mess. I wanted to get up and see John too, but wasn't able to. But I was able on the way back, because I spent the night in Dallas on the way back, was able to stop by and visit with Joe Bass. And that was wonderful. He has a beautiful, beautiful house and a nice looking shop. And his house is just packed full of things he's built and stuff like that, including from kitchen cabinets down to one of the Hyperion chairs to a Morley lounger to Windsor's, all kinds of stuff. He was building a stick chair. I guess the last few days he almost had that finished. He just needed to dome over the tendons and the arms. So yeah, we had a great time. Went and had some tacos, and then I came on back home. So And since I got here, I got one order out. I got another order I got to work on. And besides that, I've just been detoxing the best I can. So
It's not easy.
Yeah.
So, John, what's in your shop? What have you been working on?
Right now, it's actually there's not really anything on the bench, which is kind of a rarity. I normally try to find something or have something going. I finished up a chair just last week, and my wife is about to move into an office, so she needs some things. Mostly right now, it's picture frames. I think, oddly enough, I need to make a bunch of picture frames.
Yeah, my wife has been at me for, I think she stopped asking about 10 years ago. I expressed no interest in making picture frames.
They're fine. I am I'm predominantly a hand tool shop.
Yeah.
Like I have a couple power tools, which we can kind of get into at what point. But like I don't have a miter saw, so all of my miters are hand cut. I got to shoot them and get everything fettled just right. So yeah, picture frames are more of a labor of love for me and my setup. So yeah, I don't mind them. It's just kind of like, okay, yeah. I just sort of wait to maybe like 4 or 5 sort of pile up, and then it's like, all right, then we can sort of batch them all through and hunker down. So, but that's really the only thing that's on the bench right now. So
Cool. Yeah. I usually, I've told my wife, we've done this numerous times. I think once a year, Michael's has a sale on framing.
Yeah.
They do. It'll be like 50% off.
Yeah.
And it is
So expensive.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. 50% makes it, reasonable / plus, it's like reasonable plus versus, the normal sale. And you're just like, what?
John, are you a spline in the corner guy? Or are you some sort of loose tenon in the 45?
No. So it's just, like I said, just, I've done a couple different types because I've experimented because I'm like miters are actually kind of terrifying because there's just like nowhere to hide. Bridget at Dinkle's Workshop put out a video recently about miters, and everything she said, I was like, yep, she's absolutely right, because like you have to get them all bang on, otherwise there's a little gaps here or there. So that's normally how I do them, but I've done a couple like half laps before, so it doesn't, like look as clean because it's not a mitered corner. I normally don't spline them, but we have cats, and I think one of them knocked a picture off the wall. Might have been a month and a half ago, and yeah, it hit one corner. One of the 3 survived, and I was like, yeah, okay, it might be time to start considering splines, or something similar to a spline on like the backside, where after you glue it up, you can kind of route a channel at 45. It's really just kind of like an exposed spline, but since it's on the backside facing the wall, you never see it. So yes, I am considering something along those lines, or even like mitered half laps if I really want to try to like push myself to do something new.
I was about to
hand
mention that. Yeah, mitered half lap.
Yeah.
Now, in my defense, I have made like 3 picture frames. One's a mirror, but I think that counts. But they were all in the green and green style, so we're talking mortise and tenons.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of that's a lot more work even for like a picture frame for sure. Yeah.
So cool. Well, John, so tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up and how you got into woodworking.
So I born and raised here in Oklahoma. Grew up kind of southeast of Oklahoma City, and then eventually went to school up in Stillwater. Went to Oklahoma State, and settled down in Edmond. Worked oil and gas. I got a degree in mechanical engineering, so I worked oil and gas for a while, and then the pandemic rolled around, and things were not good for a lot of people, energy included. So I got laid off early in 2020, and thankfully, my wife was working, and we had a situation where it was like, hey, you can just take over the house stuff and just try to get us through this. And then I was like, all right, that's great, I don't mind it at all, and had lots of free time. And so I was looking for something to do, and I found woodworking, like a lot of people, I think, around that time. I mean, my story is probably very, very familiar, where it's like I was at home, I had some money, I had some time, and that was it. So I guess you could kind of say when I started out, it was like I went to YouTube University, as it were. Steve Ramsey's videos kept getting like recommended to me. He does the woodworking for mere mortals stuff, and I was like, yeah, sure, let's check this out. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. He makes it really approachable. He one of his big cornerstones is small tool sets, and these are really the bare bones of what you need to get started and start making furniture. And he had a couple little online courses that were, looking back now as far as like what they were and what they offered, very affordable. So I went through that and really enjoyed it. And then a friend of mine was like, "Hey, have you ever read this book?" And I was like, "Which one?" He was like, "The Anarchist Tool Chest." And then I was like, "No, not at all." And he sent it to me, and I read it, and I was like, "Hand tool stuff, okay? I don't know. That's maybe a little bit too far past for me, So that kind of marinated for a bit, and eventually, after watching more stuff on YouTube, you start seeing stuff from like Jonathan Moses and other people that are starting to like cut dovetails and do things of that nature. And I was like, all right, yeah, I'll give that a go. And I really enjoyed that. And then kind of revisited the book and was like, yeah, this is actually kind of really interesting. Maybe where I want to be. And kind of slowly migrated there over the course of a couple of years, and the whole time just kind of building furniture, making stuff for the house, and really focusing on traditional construction techniques and things like that.
Cool. So so the slippery slope of Chris Suarez just
No, absolutely. I
yeah.
mean, yeah. I mean, his writing's fantastic. So, and then just his approach and everything like that, and hand tool work, I was just kind of like that. Kind of just got me hooked, because as a hobby, or or just avenue, however you want to look at it, for woodworking, like there's always something new to do. As far as something new to learn, something new to try out, and that sort of continual learning environment is awesome for me. Like I really like something where I can continually either focus on a thing, get really good at it or good enough for me, and then be like, all right, well, what about this now? And what about that?
So what were your first hand tool purchases?
So my first hand tool purchases, I think I got a set of Imperial chisels from Narex. It wasn't the Richter. It was just, but it was an actual like Imperial set, which was nice because it would actually match all my Forstner bits, because that's mostly how I would do like mortise and tendons, where I'll use a Forstner at the drill press to hog it out and go from there. And I think Lee Nielsen block plane was like the first plane that I bought for sure. To kind of like, yeah. In hindsight, it was definitely one of those. Anytime anybody asks me, it's like, oh, what would you get for the block plane? I'm just like, it's a lot, but just buy that one, because that's your lifetime tool. It's gonna come. It's gonna show up to your door. Great. It's gonna work. You're supporting, a local tool manufacturer, and they got it right, and it's fantastic. So I spoiled myself there. I started out with that, and slowly picked up some more hand plates as it went. But those were kind of like my first purchases, was a set of chisels, a Japanese pull saw, and a block plane.
Nice. Yeah. I think that's pretty much where everyone goes to in some respects. Is you get the block plane, and of course you got to get the Japanese pull saw because it's just cool.
Yeah, and exactly. And like use that to cut dovetails, and it was just a very like trying to learn how to use it was a whole very foreign thing, obviously, because it's just like oh, it cuts on the pull. Like I'm just not used to that, and and they're great for starting out though, because you can get them. They're relatively cheap, and they're a great thing to learn on. I think as I went, I was more interested in sustainability. So the only downside with most of the Japanese pull saws is that you can't really sharpen them. You just kind of have to replace the blades.
Right.
So I eventually did upgrade to a set of Western saws. And just the Veritas ones, the Veritas joinery saws. It's a very affordable set from Lake Valley. So that was great, because again, in the whole kind of continual learning, it was like, oh, well, I have these saws. Well, how do I sharpen them? And I'm in by no means a saw sharpener, but like a Matt Cianci or anything of that nature. But I've read his book, and I've sharpened them a couple times and done the test, and I'm like, well, it takes fewer strokes to cut now than it did before. So hey,
yeah, you did good. You did good.
So
what led you to vernacular furniture and stick chairs?
So vernacular furniture, mostly it was just I don't like a lot of ornate things, and a lot of high ornamentation things of that nature. They just don't really like appeal to me. And like mid-century modern is okay, but it's almost like it's almost like too clean, as far as it doesn't have some of the signatures of character that you kind of see on more vernacular pieces as far as the way joinery works and just the general layout. So vernacular stuff kind of appealed to that less ornamentation side of me, but also still looking very much like made by a person. It wasn't a factory made piece. And that was all stuff that like I enjoyed, because if we ever went out and shopped for furniture, looked at things, I was like, I really don't like like I said, the heavily ornamented stuff, things of that nature. And I just had no idea that vernacular furniture was a thing until reading more from Schwarz and a couple other sources where it's like, yeah, this was like the furniture of the people. All the pieces that tend to make it into museums are like the high end pieces for a lot of rich landowners, things of that nature. And so it's revered, but only because it was owned by rich people. And I was kind of like, oh, okay. So it's sort of, there's a little bit of confirmation bias in the sense of like, oh, okay, well, it's all right to not like all the heavily ornamented stuff. It's like, it's okay to like the peasant furniture. Like, all right, great, cool. Like there are other people like that. That's neat. So,
well, so do you like shaker furniture?
I do. That's another one that I do really enjoy. And I want to, that's probably my goal for this year and into next, is try to get a couple more books on shaker furniture and dive into that a little bit more, because it's simple but well constructed stuff, and it's all more about like the proportions and how it goes together. So,
and I like some of their asymmetric pieces too.
Mm-hmm.
It's got so most of the shaker's pretty symmetrical, but some of it they got some beautiful pieces that are a little asymmetrical. I get built for a purpose, basically. So it's pretty cool stuff.
Absolutely.
Now, stick chairs. So what are your favorite stick chairs?
So as far as stick chairs go, I don't know. I'll look at some chairs for a while and then kind of have a couple ideas and sort of stash them away. And eventually when it's time to make a chair, I'm like, okay, maybe I'll try like these 2 or 3 things, The one I made most recently, it had a very, very small comb. Like it was only like 1.25 inches high.
Mm-hmm.
And I did wedged through tenons for the sticks, not blind.
Oh, really? Okay. Cool. Yeah.
I'd seen that on a chair and I was like, that's kind of cool. I want to try that. And there's a couple other things that I'll like see and just sort of like stash away. So there isn't any one thing where I'm like 100% like, oh yeah, I always like do this on the chair. I've done a lot of Chris's designs, and it's anybody who's done stick chairs. That's where I started. He had a video course on the Wood Whisperer for a 4-stick chair. It's what I'm sitting in right now. I can't really see it, but yeah. And I was originally like, I don't know about chairs. He wrote about them a lot on the blog, and I would see him, and I'm like, I don't know about these. I'm not sure if I really ever want to make that. And then he made that video series, and it was like super approachable. And he was like, I promise, I'm going to make this as painless as possible. And I was like, okay. I had a couple other Wood Whisperer Guild courses, so I knew that they're good quality. So like, yeah, I'll buy this one because it's Chris. I also kind of want to support Chris, and it was a blast. So I was like, oh yeah, I have caught chair disease. So yeah, exactly. He jokes about that. I was like, yep, I got it full blown. And then since made a couple of different ones of his designs. I think my favorite that he has made is his Irish inspired stick chair.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's just a strut leg chair, very low, has it's the backrest is predominantly what like supports you versus like the sticks. I think like that is for me, like when I sit in it, when I look at it, like that is a perfect chair. Because I know sometimes I think he's mentioned that it's like, oh, I wish I could, if I could design a perfect chair, I would be happy. And I was like, dude, you've done it on that one. Like I love that chair, and it's the one that I've made the most. I probably made it 5 times, and it's mostly the one that I give to people as gifts. Or
right.
If they're like interested in a chair, they're talking about, oh, these are so comfortable. I'm like, all right, well, there you go. You're gonna end up with a chair at some point because I've got the bug and I need to make chairs, and my house is full. So
yeah, I agree with you. I've sat in a few Irish chairs, and I haven't made one yet, but it's on my list. So yeah, it's a wonderful chair. It's traditional vernacular type chair and stuff like that. And what was it? There was a movie that came out that got some Academy Awards with Oh, I forgot. I shouldn't even brought it up if I can't name the movie. But they had an Irish Gibson chair in there in the trailer for the movie, and that's what. Okay, I'm watching the movie.
Oh, was it the Banshees of Inisherin?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
Ooh, that movie. Like,
Yeah, it's a little something, but yeah, there is a Gibson in there.
Yeah. We were like, my wife and I try to watch a movie a week, just as something to do and have like sort of a routine. We're like,
Yeah.
we'll do movie Monday. That's great. We'll watch movies on Monday. And we're scrolling through HBO. We see Banshees of Inisherin, and we're like, a dark comedy. I was like, oh, what's I mean, I'm blanking on the actors' names now, which is so. But we're like, dark comedy with these two. All right, this looks interesting. We kind of watched the trailer, and the general gist is like there's these two friends and one guy wakes up and he's like, we're not friends anymore.
Yep.
And then that's it. That's really kind of like the movie. Yep. And then after we were done watching it, we just looked at each other and like, what part of that movie was funny? It's like,
of course, a comedy in this.
Dark. It was not, there was no comedy to the dark side. It was just like, oh man, and it's this whole allegory for the Irish War and all that stuff. You're just like, God, this is brutal, but it's well done, but brutal movie.
Yeah. It was pretty brutal, but they had a Gibson.
They did, yeah.
Fair enough.
You got to support them for that.
Yeah.
So, where are you sourcing your wood from there in Edmond, Oklahoma?
So I'm actually pretty spoiled
Really?
as I've learned more about other people as far as finding wood and all that. And we had considered a move a couple years ago, and we'd even traveled out to Illinois to try to.
Let me interrupt you that. For our listeners who aren't familiar, Edmond, Oklahoma is like what, north of Oklahoma City? Yep. So it's basically a suburb of Oklahoma City.
It is. It's absolutely just basically a suburb of Oklahoma City that grew a little bit. It's like 30 minutes north. It's not far at all. So, but no, I'm pretty spoiled because we have Phoenix Hardwood and Lumber here, which is like, it's a commercial lumber yard. And they have amazing selection. And the guys for being a commercial place, they're still really cool as far as if I show up, you just go outside, you tell them, hey, I want this and that, and they walk you over there. They'll let you pick through the stack, because there's been a few times where I'm trying to find chair parts and I'm like, man, this isn't straight. I kind of need to keep digging. They're like, dude, I get paid by the hour. I do not care, and it's just like, so they've been really, really awesome. I went there, as the pandemic started, they weren't letting you pick lumber. You had to kind of call and just tell them how many board feet and surface to yes, no, all that kind of stuff, and then you pick it up. But since when things started opening back up, they're like, yeah, you can come pick your own lumber. So I don't have any issues there. And there's even another place south of Oklahoma City called Urban Wood Company, and I really, really like those guys because everything that they source is within the state of Oklahoma. They only sell logs, trees, etc. that have been harvested within the state.
Oh, cool.
What's your dominant species? So can you get like white oak?
As far as like what we have provided for the state, you can get a little bit of white oak. I mean, we could for what Urban Wood has. I mean, they'll have cherry, they'll have walnut, they'll have white oak, they have some ash, and they'll even get some of the more like obscure stuff like pecan, and we will get some hickory from time to time. I mean, they're like all over the place. Phoenix is more like I said, kind of more the commercial. They source it from all over, and it's just more your normal cast of characters there. But for the Oklahoma stuff, we get a lot of walnut. But it's usually pretty squirrely stuff. Just because just in general, the trees don't want to grow really straight, and even the ones we have here are even squirrelier. So you get a lot of nice figure, but it's hard to find chair parts in walnut here.
Understood. So are you doing any steam bending, or are you cutting your stuff out of wider stock? I
cut from solid currently.
Okay.
Steam bending is like kind of on that list of like future things because I've noticed a pattern in myself. Whenever I start a thing, I get really interested. Like I said, I like learning. I like kind of pushing myself. But I'm always like, when I look 2 or 3 steps ahead, I'm always like, I don't think I'm ever going to do that, And then I give myself like 6 months, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm ready to do that, Because it was like that with hand tools. One of my friends was like, you need to get in hand tools. I think you'd really like it. I was like, I don't know about that. I think I'm just going to stick with power tools. And then 6 months later, I'm buying a block plane, And it was stick chairs. Chris had these chairs, and it's like, I don't think I'm going to make chairs. And then 6 months later, I was like, yeah, it's probably about time to make a chair. So I'm trying to stop being like, no, I don't think I'm ever going to steam bend. It's like, I probably will at some point. I just not there yet.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, so tell it now. You're the furniture you're making. Primarily, you're on commission type basis, or are you making spec pieces, or what?
So it's a little bit of both, and this
Okay.
is honestly really new as far as like I've had my website made maybe like 2 or 3 months ago, and I'm just starting down that path. So I'm had some commission pieces, but most of my chairs are just spec because, like I said, stick chairs are kind of a weird thing, and then especially in Oklahoma, we just don't have a lot of that like vernacular furniture that people have like in the Northeast or things of that nature. So it's not common at all. So, people aren't having any exposure. So when they see one, they're really like, oh, what the hell was that? It's like, well, just have a seat. If you ever come over to my house, if you seem remotely interested, I'll get like 2 or 3 chairs out and be like, I've had all my friends and family be like, here, sit in these. Like, I promise you, they look weird, but it's going to be comfortable. And then they're like, oh yeah, these are nice. It's like, yeah, they're trying to convert people, I'm proselytizing stick chairs. So no, most of the work, those is commission based, but the chairs are spec.
Yeah. So do you find yourself, if you've ever had one too many, bouncing from chair to chair? Hey, is this one comfy? What makes this one comfy? All right, let me go to the next one.
I mean, it doesn't take one too many because for not the last chair I made, but the previous one, as I was making it, that one was the first time that I'd taken one and done it like full from scratch, in the sense of like, okay, I need to pick my seat shape. And looked at a bunch of different seat shapes, had that, and then did all the modeling to figure out my leg angles and the arm placements and everything. And so I lined a bunch of the chairs up that I've made and sat in them all and was like, well, what kind of feels good here? What's different there, to try to like lock in some of those individual details. So no alcohol wasn't even needed. I was like, all right, let's get
That's probably better that way, actually.
Let's get into the nerd stuff.
You will actually take notes instead of making middle notes you'll forget. So anyway.
Or you wake up in the morning with the wrong notes and you're like, this was totally comfortable, and make it, and you're like, what did I do? I have the arms pitching down. Like, what? Like, how did I convince myself that was great?
Pitching down and inward, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, cool. Well, so tell us about your construction techniques when you're making your furniture and stuff now. Mix of power tools, hand tools. What are all hand tools at this point?
No, it's a mix of power tools and hand tools. I turned 40 last year, and I was finally done jointing boards by hand.
Okay.
So for the first 4 years, if it had a flat surface on any of the pieces I made for my home or for anybody else, it was with a number 7. And I was like, man, I can't keep doing this. So I finally got a jointer, and I've had the DeWalt 735. Like that was the first
planer.
that was the first planer I bought. And like if you're starting out, it is expensive, but like if you want to get a better planer, you've probably got to spend another $1,000+. Like it punches above its weight class, so it's a great one.
Especially if you put a helical head in it. I mean that.
Yeah, I haven't gone that route.
Yeah.
But yes, that one comes highly recommended. And the jointer I got is a helical head, which is like, they're very quiet. It's a really, really, really nice machine, except for edge joints. I don't like edge joints on the helical head, but that's fine because I have a number 7 to touch it up.
Yeah.
Because like for glue joints or whatever, you can still kind of feel some undulation on it with that helical head, at least my experience. So. But so a lot of those are the apprentices. They do a lot of the grunt work now. But other than that, it's either track saw or bandsaw to break stuff down. Like I don't have a table saw. I did for a while. Like when I got started, I got like one of the rigid contractor saws.
Yeah.
And then the first 2 chairs I made were without a bandsaw. And after I was done, I really loved it, but I was like, I'm never making a chair again until I get a bandsaw, because like all the curves and everything like that was like I cut with like a coping saw or like a jigsaw. It was one of those where it was just like, oh, this is way more work than it needs to be. And the bandsaw
because you soon get into parts that are too thick for a jigsaw. You got to go the coping saw route, and it's like, how long is this gonna take?
Yeah, a long time. Like the bevel on that rail, that was coping saw. Like, and the under bevel on the seat, it was a coping saw. I was just like, oh geez, I didn't have even like a draw knife or anything like that. That would have made probably quicker work. But
Yeah. Now people are going to chime in. You should have had a frame saw, you know.
I probably should have. They're not wrong. I mean, I don't never claim to be an expert. I don't.
So what bandsaw did you end up picking up?
So I found a Jet 14-inch, the old Delta Rockwell style.
Yeah.
I call them the pill shape, but every time I say that, people look at me funny when I'm at work. I'm like, okay, well, never mind. But I found one on Marketplace. That one was just kind of one of those. The guy was like, yeah, I'm trying to do metal work. It spins too fast. I'm like, okay. So he had it. He brought it up from your neck of the woods or close to it. I think it might have been Beaumont because the table was rusted out like real bad.
That would be near me. Yes.
So it took a little bit elbow grease to get that going. But no, since I've got it, that's the workhorse of the shop. If I have to like cut anything, I'm just cut it on a bandsaw. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna try to make some case work once I got the bandsaw without using the table saw. It's like if I can make this nightstand without using the table saw, then I'll get rid of the table saw. And then sure enough, I made the nightstand no problem. And I was like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I don't need this table saw. So because I do have the track saw to help for like breaking down larger pieces and things like that if I need to.
So what are some of your favorite pieces that you made so far?
I think the one that I like the most from top, as far as like, from talk about top to bottom, as far as the design to construction and everything like that, was I made like a Krenov style cabinet on stand for my wife to keep all of her like perfume. She really got into perfume around the pandemic as like her hobby. So she was buying a bunch of like indie perfumes and.
Well, it sounds like both of our wives could have a chat.
Yeah. So she was like researching all the houses, it became her pandemic hyper focus. And I was like, oh, okay. And I'd been reading a bunch of stuff and then eventually made it through Krenov's books. And then right after that, I read By Hand and Eye by Jim Tolpin and George Walker. Fantastic book. If you guys if your listeners haven't read it, research on it, it's amazing. So I was like, well, I kind of want to do a Krenov style cabinet on stand, but I really want to approach it with the way like Walker and Tolpin lay out as far as the whole artisan geometry and proportions and everything like that. And since I was building it for my wife, I was like, I used the module, which is kind of like the base unit. Because that's all the things. Everything's proportional, and you have this base unit, and so when you multiply it all out, it all works. For the module, I used her handspan, which happened to be somewhere in the neighborhood of like 6 inches. So it kind of worked out, But like either way, it was like, it was built off her handspan, so it's like 2 handspans deep, 4 tall, 4 wide, 3 tall, and it's so many of her handspans high, which means it's proportional, so whenever she goes to open it, it's all very natural and all that kind of stuff. So it was literally kind of like built with like her proportions in mind, but using a lot of the techniques laid out by that artisan geometry. So
isn't that how the Egyptians did that? Was it a cubit? I don't. It's like you're from your elbow to
your elbow to your yeah. So exactly. And there's a lot of like listen to Tolpin and talk about it and things like that. How when you're sizing workbenches, they should be 4 handspans high and usually 3 deep, because 3 handspans is about the length of the tip of your finger to your shoulder. So if you do more than 3 handspans, you can't reach all the way across your workbench. So it's like 2 deep. But if you have it 3 handspans, if you put something at the back, it's comfortable to reach and grab. And and he's like, when you make it usually 9 handspans long, because that's about what a door is. So if you ever work on doors, doors are about like, it's like he breaks all this stuff out, and it's fascinating. That's a cool book. Love it. Now you made me think I need to go back and reread it. So anyway. I revisit it from time to time. And I have Good Eye, which was their follow-up to it.
I got that too.
It's on my stack. I just haven't got to it yet. So but that's probably one that I really enjoyed from, like I said, from like top to bottom.
Now, the question is, did you make it big enough to hold all the perfume bottles?
Oh, good question.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think most of it is in there, but she still has some others out and back. Because she was buying a lot of like the sample bottles, so that's also a volume. So even with like little shelves and drawers and things like that, which is kind of like Krenov has, it was still like, no, there's still more overflowing, but that's fine.
Yeah.
It's like a
So-
whiskey cabinet. You know, you don't put all your whiskey in the whiskey cabinet.
That's
you have
true.
Your,
Right.
You have your favorite children. They go,
Yes.
they go
Right.
there.
The ones that you really like and use frequently, that's what
right.
goes there. Yeah.
Well,
So-
fantastic. Well, so now you're also delving into teaching classes. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that's another thing that I want to do more of. I kind of have a personal view or belief that if I'm ever able to absorb any kind of woodworking knowledge, information, it's usually been through books or teaching or whatever. There's almost like this implicit, okay, you own this now, and it's your job to disseminate it because, like, somebody somewhere took the time to either teach you or write it down and try to help pass it on. So like it doesn't need to end with you, especially a lot of stuff for like handcrafts or things of that nature. So I really enjoy teaching. It's something that I find a lot of joy in, and being able to be a resource for people for handwork specifically, especially here in Oklahoma, not a lot of resources. I'm trying to go that route. I work part-time at a woodworking supply store. They don't pay me to name them, so I'm not going to name them, but you could probably, you got a 50-50 shot of figuring out which one it is. So I do teach some classes through there. I was basically hired because of some of that experience that I have.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to offer some stuff through here. I haven't had a lot of traction, especially at least on the paid side, but there's still like between coworkers, friends, or family, where it's just like people have had some open invitations for like, hey, if you want to build a chair, just come by. Like the guy that runs Urban Wood, he's a really cool guy. Like I've told him, it's like, hey, just I'll tell you what you need. You come by, and he really wants to, but he works like a dog. That guy's busy. So he's like, woodworking for fun. What's that? I was like, yeah, it's hard. So I did help a coworker build a staked bench. To kind of get her started in chair making, things of that nature. So, but yeah, I've got the setup where I built a little student bench. It's basically kind of like a hybrid between a Rubo and like Curtis Buchanan has like kind of his like chair maker's bench. Yeah, I built one of those and have an extra twin screw vise and some things like that to be able to have two people going at a time to build stuff. So
nice. So so now what classes have you taken through your journey so far?
So like in person, I've only had one class, and I was very, very fortunate to be able to take a chair making class at Lost Art Press with Chris. It was in November.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And I was actually in the same class that Brian Crano was in, who you guys had on the show.
Okay.
Yeah. He directed. We're in the same class. He was a really cool dude. And that's the only like in-person class that I've had. Like I said, I've signed up for some online stuff way, way early. But everything else has been kind of books and or YouTube and reading and things like that.
Yeah.
But no, yep.
Cool.
And they definitely kind of like set that bar in regards to what it would look like for, like in-person instruction. Because that was at the time.
I've been to a number of classes and taken something at Lost Art Press. That's a high bar to climb because it's all day, and then hey, we have evening activities. Then it's next day. This is called hangover woodworking.
Yeah, I was able to avoid that, thankfully. But I know that not everybody has, and it is. That's a feat. It is a feat to pull that off for sure.
No, but what I'm saying is, Chris's hospitality at his classes, and unfortunately, I think we mentioned on the show a few episodes ago that they couldn't get insurance and they're shutting down at the end of this year, which sucks because Chris knows how to entertain. But hey, he's teaching other places, and I'm sure he'll find a place to go after class.
Oh, and yeah. I'm sure there's a local haunt or two that he can find for beer. Yeah, so.
Exactly. Well, so tell us about your shop. So what does it look like? Where's it located?
So it's here at home.
Okay.
We when we were in our first house, I shared a garage with the car, which was understandable because it was just like, hey, doing this woodworking thing. It's like, yeah, sure. It's pandemic. It's your hobby. It's whatever. Get you moving, engage your hands and your brain. Yeah. So I parked my car outside. She got to keep her car inside, and let's split the garage. But when we recently moved, we were looking at kind of upgrading, getting a slightly bigger house.
I need a 3 or 4 car garage.
It's just a 2-car
Oh, okay.
garage. And she was very much like, yeah, you're, trying to take this very seriously and make things or whatever. So, yep, you can have the whole garage. And I was like, perfect. Like,
Nice.
super understanding.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And the first thing that I did was we stripped it all down to the studs, insulated it, and had a mini split installed because living in Oklahoma, if I wanted to work out there, if I didn't have any kind of climate control, it would limit me to maybe like 8 months out of the year, cumulative time, because there's a lot of days in the summer where it's like you could work till about noon, maybe.
Like today, if your today was like my today is like, here it was like 97 and like 85% humidity. So yeah,
94 and 70 to 80% humidity. Yeah, it's brutal in the summers here. The winters, we have a couple little cold spells, but those are much easier to manage. So as far as I didn't get my perfect setup, which would say, since I'm mostly hand tool woodworker, would be a north-facing window, but I do have 2 pretty large windows that are west facing, so it's really good for maybe like there's a couple hours a day where it's like but we also live at the bottom of the hill though, so when the sun's going down, it's really only brutal for that about an hour, and then I'm like, oh, okay, then it's back to being fine. I have a split top Rubo bench that's kind of that's the heart of the shop for me. And most people are like, the table saw is the heart of the shop. It's like, I don't have one of those, so the Rubo's that. And it's just a joiner, planer, bandsaw. I have a lot of room for like wood storage, things like that. And I work out of an ATC, an anarchist tool chest. I built, I followed through on the book and then built the MacGuffin. Like Chris was like, I didn't think people would actually build the damn thing. It's like, no, I did. It's great.
Did you fill it yet?
Yeah, it's pretty close to full. I originally worked out of a wall cabinet, and then I outgrew that, and then I was like, oh, okay, I should probably just build the chest, and then I have more room to grow, something to grow into as opposed to something to grow out of, which is why like my other than my like first bench, which is really just kind of a 2x4 frame with a 3/4 inch sheet of plywood as the top. I just went straight for the Rubo. And I built one because I was like, I want a bench that I can grow into. I don't want to build something that I'll grow out of. And so I was like, I should have just kind of done that with the tool storage too. But I was new. We're not gonna. I'm learning. So, but no, I love working out of a chest compared to a wall cabinet. It's great. Lots of room still. It's like I said, it's almost full, but I've got a couple places I can still kind of hide things and move stuff to.
Yeah, I have a wall hung tool chest or tool cabinet, and then for my Kronhoff, cabinet on stand, it's basically a stand with a Dutch tool chest on it.
Yeah, I built one of those because for the woodworking classes at work, I can't take my ATC.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was like, I need something that's a little more like portable. So I was like, well, I mean, Megan's wrote this fantastic book, and sure, I'll buy that. And built the Dutch, and that one, Dutch is great. Like you can pack so many tools in there. I can almost fit everything that's in my ATC into my Dutch tool chest as far as for travel and transport. It's not as easy or nice to work out of. I just really like having the sliding tills. It's just really nice feature.
Exactly.
And then I have a small table next to that with all my sharpening stuff because I was getting for hand tool stuff, you need to be able to sharpen pretty regularly, and I would put it off because I would have to like clear part of my bench and do some of these things. And since I had the space, I was like, well, I'll just make a dedicated table for sharpening. So it's got my grinder and has all my stones and all the things that I need. So that way, if I'm ever working at the bench, it's just immediately behind me. I'm just like, oh, this has got to do dull. I need to touch it up. I just 180, sharpen, 180. I'm back to work.
Yeah. Nice. So what's your sharpening regimen?
Well, I preface it by saying they all work. Like I don't want to start a fight, and I'm no way, shape, or form an expert. I used diamond stones for the longest time. Like that's what I started out with because I was really intimidated by having to reflatten things and worry about that. And I was like, oh, if I just use diamonds, and then of course, they were kind of sold to me as they last forever, and then they don't.
They don't. No.
Yeah, they don't. And I was on my second set of diamond stones, and I was like, man, these things cut so slow.
Yeah.
Because after time.
Yeah. Not only that, but you have to kind of retrain yourself with diamond stones, because I used them for a while too. And that is, you don't want to put a lot of pressure, and then you're sitting there going, they're not cutting, so I'm going to put more pressure, and then
right.
Yeah.
It's that feedback loop of like just wearing the stones out.
Yeah.
So now I've got some of the Shapton Koramaku stones.
Yeah, those
I'm
are nice.
dipping my toe into water stones and trying those out, and at a minimum, I mean, they cut a lot faster than I'm noticing compared to diamond. So I like them. And for me, it was just like, fine stone, extra fine, and strop. And now I've got 3 different water stones. And once I'm done on the last one, I rarely strop anymore now, because the polish on it off of that stone is pretty nice. So
yeah. I don't know. I'm a big stropper. If I'm conscious enough to strop as much as I need to, then I don't have to go back to the stones for like a long time.
Yeah. Stropping is great for that. Like, okay, I'm dovetailing. I've got 3 corners done, and I got 1 more. And I'm like, man, I really don't want to sharpen and break my flow and everything like that. It's like, nah, just go to the strop, and that'll get you there, and then you can kind of sharpen when the day's done and put all your tools up. So yeah.
Your tools are probably way sharper than mine. So anyway.
Same. Yeah.
But no, that's what I'm trying out now. And I mean, honestly, I've only had them for like maybe a month, but I'm enjoying them so far. They, like I said, all sharpening systems work. They're not, one is not necessarily better than the other. They just all have trade-offs, and I was tired of the wait forever trade-off.
Yes. That's yes. Totally agree. I've tried all the sharpening systems.
Do you have a Tormac?
No, that's the only one I haven't. If I would have not invested in a couple of sharpening systems, I could have probably bought a Tormac by now. But
yeah,
for the power, I do have a power sharpening system. I do use it more than you would think, but it's one of those Workshop 3000s. But I got the CBN wheels for it.
Yeah,
gotcha.
And that's really nice for a lot of the stuff I do. It works pretty well. It works better than diamonds, I think. But anyway, that's just me. Yeah.
No, I just have a high-speed grinder and a Norton ADX. Yeah, it's not a CBN. It's one of those. It's the blue wheel that's very like friable.
Yeah, friable.
Like, yeah. So that way it doesn't cook my tools.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah. I got 2 bench grinders. I do weird stuff with my jig making and stuff. So I got 2 bench grinders, and I got the CBN wheels for that, and those are really great.
Yeah.
And but they say they will last forever. No, they won't. So
anyway. Yeah, just like any diamond medium, they're like, yeah, this is forever. It's like, it's not. You don't have to lie. You can just tell me it's going to last 2 or 3 times as long. But don't tell me it's forever.
Yeah, I do a lot of grinding on mine, and it's like, man, my 80 grit wheel needs to be replaced big time. So anyway, I think it's like maybe 120 grit at this point.
Yep, that sounds about right. It's good.
It's good. 2/3 the diameter. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, they never. That's the great thing about them, is they never. They're always flat. They're always straight. They never decrease in diameter. But yeah, those little stones get. I'm wondering, because the company I bought them from, the guaranteed for life, and I'm saying, wonder if I could send this back to them and see what happens.
I would send it to them. Just be worst thing they can do is tell you no.
Exactly.
They can't take away your birthday or nothing. It's fine.
Yeah. With CBNs, pro tip: if you ever need to clean them, just wait till your wife leaves. Put them in the top rack of your dishwasher. Let them go.
She'd be fine with it. Yeah. She's real chill about all that stuff. So I'm just kind of like, I gotta wash this thing. I'm like, okay. Like, just don't wash it with the nice dishes or anything like that.
Exactly.
Go. Yeah.
Exactly. So tell us about your Substack. You have started a Substack. So
yeah. So I post a lot of build stuff on like Instagram, and I would write a lot of. Sometimes it would be like a long blurb where if I'm like, oh man, I either learned this thing or tried out this thing, and so I'm just share some info. That's all. And Instagram's really not that great not a great format for that. And it
Mm.
was just like, man, some of these are getting long and I can't really convey some of the stuff I wanted. And that was the thing where I was going to try out this year. Like every year I try to have a handful of things where I'm like, I'm going to try something new or do something new. And I was like, I'm going to try my hand at writing this year and doing it more from that standpoint of either documenting builds and providing a little bit more information or more in-depth stuff about the design, or even just some things that I've learned or whatever, just kind of sharing knowledge. That's really mostly what it's about. But the occasional little life bit, but it's mostly just kind of about the work and like stuff that I've either tried and succeeded at or tried and failed at, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's great, because I think you learn more from failure.
Yes.
But people do not want to share their failures.
Oh, no, yeah. I mean, it's been
Yeah.
said by multiple people in multiple different ways, so it's really impossible to attribute the quote. But like, success never taught me anything. Failure has taught me a lot.
Yes.
So yeah, and that's mostly what it is. It's all free. I don't have any paid posts or anything like that. I mean, I really don't even ask for subscriptions or anything of that nature. Like if people want to send money my way, I'm never going to say no. But I also, because it did happen once where someone was like, hey, here's a yearly sub. And I was like, okay. But I just had a brief note put out. It's like, because once you do that Substack, then will toggle all your posts to subscriber only, so you have to like manually change it. And there was one time I forgot, and I was like, oh crap. And you can go in and you can edit it, it's totally fine. But it was just kind of like, hey, yeah, since I have some money coming in right now, they're wanting me to do only paid posts, but everything's always going to be free.
Mhm.
I'm never going to charge or anything of that nature. One is because like I don't have like that big of a following, and I don't feel saying anything like super revolutionary or anything of that nature. It's just like sharing some builds and even some of like the business side of things, where it's like I recently made a table and I did a full financial breakdown on that, which would be probably stupid for like people to be like that transparent about. Like I was like, this is what I spent on this is how much time I spent, these are the things that I forgot to account for, and these are the things that came up extra, and just broke it all down, because I was just like, yeah, I mean, that's one side of it that a lot of people don't see or whatever, because it's really hard to find that info. So I'm like, well, I'll put it out there. I don't care. It's like, worst case, someone reads it, it's like, man, this guy's an idiot. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. I'm trying to learn. Yeah. But I'm just putting it out there. So
Yeah. And I think I've said this before. That's the one thing when you're actually doing this for a living, whatever it may be, it's like, yeah, that 50% of your job is not woodworking. It's
computer
promoting, it's,
and
figuring out what you should be charging, ordering, all that kind of stuff.
And that's the part that I definitely need the most practice at, because the making stuff's fun, right?
Yeah.
It's it has its own challenges, and those are fine. But I think you guys had Shay Alexander on, and he talked about that, where it's really like you got to be just as excited about trying to make the business work as you are as going to build the thing. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I got to kind of work on, personally, I need to work on that excitement and push level of trying to grow. So
Exactly. Well, so before we let you go, we always like to ask, what are your other pursuits outside of woodworking? What do you like to do?
So one thing that's been pretty consistent for it's going to be over 12 years now is weightlifting. So when
I noticed the setup in the back.
That's my power rack behind me. This is just my general office computer room and where I work out. When we were going to be having our son, I was like, man, I really need to kind of turn things around and try to take a look at what I'm doing as far as just health in general.
Yeah.
And it's I definitely went a little overboard. So like I course corrected a little too hard, looking back on it. But I got into the gym and was focused more on like lifting, doing stuff with like free weights, etc., with some cardio as well. But like weightlifting was a big part of it, and I found that was really, really good for my mental health, not even just like my physical, because I will have times where if I get busy or it falls off, and it happens, and it's okay.
Yeah.
You just go back to it. I definitely noticed, I'm like, oh yeah, man, my mental health is really starting to suffer. I wonder why. It's like, yeah, it's because I haven't picked up a heavy thing in a long time. Like it's just that simple. So that's one, yeah, I started doing that, like I said, a little over a decade ago. And when I first started, it was definitely more about, building mass and doing things like that. Now, as I'm getting older, it's more just a little bit of strength training, just trying to make sure that I stay in as decent shape as possible and carry as much of that forward.
At my age, it's more like don't injure yourself.
Yeah, and well, that's the other part. Yeah, like when I was younger, it was like, I could throw things around, and now it's like, ooh, no.
Or if you did injure yourself in a couple of weeks, you're back to normal. Now It's like 6 months for me.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, so it's like, no, we got to be a little more careful. So that's a big one, is doing that, because it's really good for physical health and mental health, and it sucks because every single thing that they say about like diet, exercise, and working out is just true. And that's like the biggest tragedy, how it's like, oh, if you work out, you'll feel better and you'll have more energy. And you're just like, dang it, they're like right, but it's so hard to get started or sometimes even do it while you're doing it. But yeah. And the other one is I have a group of friends that I've been playing like online gaming with for 8 years now. We do that pretty regularly. Yeah, so that's kind of those are like the two kind of main outlets I have outside of like woodworking. So
what are your favorite games y'all play together?
Well, we play one predominantly. It's called Destiny 2. Some people may or may not be familiar with it. It's kind of like World of Warcraft in space, I guess, is maybe like mixed with like Halo. So there you go. So I may have just lost some portion of the audience, but yeah, but yeah. So we've been playing that for. I've been playing that, like I said, since around the time my son was born, and this group of people have gotten together and we played regularly, like weekly, for the past like 8 years. So
cool.
Yeah.
Are these like online friends or?
Yeah, they are. So one of them is I jokingly said, yeah, we met in the meat space before we met in the online, but yeah. So one of them, I've met in person, was friend before playing Destiny 2, but everybody else has been just met like online, and we'll about every other year we'll have like a meetup or something like that where we'll kind of all fly in and hang out for a weekend and just be like, hey, you're that person, name to face or face to voice is the thing. Yeah, we're just like, oh, that was the big joke one year. It was just like everybody I saw, I was like, you sounded taller, so. But yeah, those are my two kind of main hobbies and outlets outside of just all the normal day-to-day family stuff. So,
fantastic. Well, let's move on to our fortnightly beer choices. So, I have something to recommend for my weekend getaway, and that is we went old school and got a couple of cases of Mickey's Big Mouth.
Oh,
I know. That's why I didn't write it down in our show notes. I wanted to surprise y'all. Yeah, you know what? It wasn't that bad. Wasn't great, but it wasn't that bad.
Did you notice a difference like the day after? Because like some of those different beers have way different hangover qualities.
None of us were moving very fast the next day, but
understandable, yeah.
But that didn't stop us from going back to the liquor store and buying more when we ran out. So it was it was a throwback and kind of interesting. But anyway, so that's my old school recommendation. So Brian, what do you have to recommend?
Trying something that's new to me. It's called Wolf's Neck. It's an IPA from Maine Beer Company. Nice. It's good. Kind of tastes like some of their other IPAs, but I'm sure there's a difference if I put both of them together. But it's not overly hoppy. It's not. I don't think it's overly strong. So if you can get that in the Northeast, I highly suggest it.
It's a kind of nice, like middle of the road IPA where it's like it's not trying to punch you in the mouth, but
it's not super hazy. I had some pretty hazy ones in Massachusetts. But this you could drink a couple of them, although there are kind of large. I don't know if you guys can,
Oh yeah,
it's a big bottle. Yeah,
it's a big bottle.
So anything that Maine Beer Company makes, highly recommend.
Nice.
John, how about you?
So I don't have anything tonight. We don't drink like very frequently, and I just kind of forgotten. I would have probably got things together, but one thing I will share is that since it's the summertime here, especially kind of in the South where it's hot, I would recommend a delightful spaghetti if you are familiar. And if you're not, I'll tell you what a spaghetti is. And it's Miller High Life. You get a bottle of Miller High Life. You drink to just below that top label.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then you pour in an ounce of either Aperol or Campari, whichever one you like, and an ounce of lemon juice. And it sounds weird, but it is really refreshing on like a hot summer day. It's called a spaghetti.
Okay, I'm
And
gonna have to try that.
it is a fantastic summer
Yep.
drink. Especially like I said, you kind of sit outside and you start to sweat a little bit. You're like, all right, I'm gonna have a spaghetti, and it's just very, very refreshing. And yes, and it's Miller High Life. I don't know why that was like the beer of choice.
With
of it, but I'm
champagne
sure
of beers, you know.
it is, yeah. So whatever bar had kind of started it or created it or did whatever, they always did High Life. So yeah, highly recommend that.
That's
Spaghetti on a
interesting.
summer evening is fantastic.
Yeah. Well, mine's not quite as great, but we were talking about when we were at college, we used to always order a pitcher of beer, which was usually like Miller or
Yep.
Milwaukee's Best or whatever was cheap.
Yep.
And then we would all have like half a beer off of that, and then we would dump in a bottle of Guinness.
Interesting. Almost kind of like like
It's
a
got
black and
combinations,
tan
man.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like mixed
Is it-
up.
Yeah, it's kind of like a black and tan. It made the beer drinkable,
Whatever it takes to spice it up, for sure.
Exactly.
If you have to do that to your beer, Kyle, you're drinking the wrong beer.
This is in college. I mean,
I was gonna say,
hey,
he's not doing it
you got
now.
$2 pitchers. Hey, we're game.
Yeah, we used to drink like buckets of Rolling Rock. They would come in these little, they call them pony bottles, I guess.
Mm.
And they would you would get this metal bucket, and it would just
Yeah.
be like 12 of them in there, and you and a buddy would split them, and that would be your night.
Yep.
Yeah.
30 and get a 30 rack of hams. That was some cheap beer. And you were talking about college days. Yeah, that's the stuff.
There you go. Well, with that, John, where can folks find you on the interwebs?
So they can find me on Instagram of I'm pretty sure it's Jonathan Hammack. I just use my name for everything. That's one
Yep.
part. Like I am not, my creative muscles don't exist when it comes to like marketing and having like the shop name or something like that. So it's just Jonathan Hammack. It's Jonathon because my mom wanted to be different. And then Hammack, Hammack. So if you just would spell it like you would normally think, just swap those O's and A's near the ends of them, and you'll be right on. So that's on Instagram. Substack should just be John Hammack. And my website is just my name, like I said, because I lack any kind of creativity in that space.
Well, at least it's available,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I didn't have to worry about that. I was like checking, domains, and I was like, oh wow, if somebody had this, that would be weird, but okay,
All right. Well, Brian, catch us up on some feedback we've had.
Yeah, we have a couple episodes here regarding episode 563. That was the husband and wife team of Sutherland Wells, extremely knowledgeable people. If you did not listen to that episode, I would go back and listen to it. You can learn a lot about finishing. This is from Barton Woodworking. It says, looking forward to using it when it makes it to Europe. That's right, because they only ship to Canada, and
I think so.
yeah, so North America basically.
Yeah.
And then our second feedback here is regarding episode 565 when Brian Brazil came back on. This is from Benjamin Allen Furniture. It says, excellent episode. Now I'm waiting for the Wilbur Pan episode to drop, and the laughing emoji. There's just some inside jokes there. So if you would like to leave us some feedback, we would like to hear what you have to say. You can leave it on the MWA podcast Instagram. You can leave it on any of our Instagrams. And we'd also appreciate ranking in your podcast tool of choice. A 5-star review helps get the show out in front of other people.
Exactly. And Wilbur, don't worry, I'll text you soon. And that just about wraps it up for this show. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the show on the podcatcher of your choice. Just search for the Modern Woodworkers Association. And while you're there, please leave us a review. You can follow us on Instagram at MWA_podcast. And if you'd like to support the podcast, go over to patreon.com/MWA podcast. But the best thing you can do is tell a friend. Word of mouth goes a long way in sharing our discussion.